All ready?
Yep,
I don't think your microphone's on.
We good now?
Yes, sir. All right. The Committee on Parole is called to order today. Is May 22nd, 2024. The time is 9:07 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Renata to my left and Mr. Tillis to my right. The panel today is at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. With the staff, please introduce yourself.
Parole Williams.
All right. Mr. HAIMING LUO, would you please introduce yourself, stating your full name, especially if I didn't say it right, and DOC number for the record?
My name is HAIMING LUO. DOC number is 504001.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna give you a brief explanation of the process. First, I'll read some information into the record and ask you to verify. We'll then conduct a parole interview. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis, who will take the lead on the interview. After the interview is completed, we'll ask the facility staff for their input, and we will allow supporters and opposition to speak if we have any. And then you will be allowed to speak at the end and be the final person. So let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration HAIMING LUO, DOC number 504001, who is a first felony offender who was convicted of manslaughter on March 14, 2006, and was sentenced to serve 40 years hard labor in Lafayette Parish. Your parole eligibility date is 10/19/24. Your good time date is 10/26/37. Your full term date is May 22nd, 44. Is that information sound correct to you, Mr. Liu?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right. All right, great. Your case has been assigned to board member Mr. Tillis here, who cast the first vote and will also begin questioning now.
Good morning. Mr. Liu, how are you? Good, good. How long have you been incarcerated?
20 years.
You've been inside 20 years?
Yes,
I
sir.
see you've gone through a lot of training since you've been there. So what have you accomplished since all this training has been taken by you?
I had 3 jobs. When I was in Angola, I was a clerk in hospital for 3 years. My job responsibility including paperwork, filing, Xerox, delivery, and ACA standard, including bulletin board, fire safety tools, and also I deal with supplies. I type of supply order. When supplies come in, I organize supply store and inventory. Then I came to RAYBURN Correctional Center in 2009. I became a certified tutor. I was a tutor for 5 years, and I've been as a librarian for 8 years. I've been through many good time class and self-help classes, including anger management, cage your rage. I have been through pre-release, victim awareness.
That's okay. I mean, we have them here.
Yeah, and I facilitate 2 programs. One is called the Unconventional Fitness Class since 2019, and I facilitate Vets German class, which started in October last year.
Okay. I saw you had 4 write-ups. What were they about?
The first one was 30W. It happened in 2010. I was a kind of itch in my groin, so I tried a couple more times, and the officer misunderstood, thinking I was masturbating, and also the lieutenant didn't like me for various reasons. He just used that opportunity to get rid of me of the unit. but I kind of learned a lesson from that incident. I have to be humble and be respectful. And I got 2 more write-ups, I think in 2015 or 16. One was for going through the kitchen eating twice. And I told the board, the DB board, that I was kind of hungry because I was taking antibiotics that time. And I went to eat with the unit, then I went to pill call, then went back, and I got caught that time. And I learned my lesson that I should also follow the rules, even taking antibiotics is not excuse to go through the line twice to eat 2 trays. I should eat something that I bought, And also I caught another write-up sometime around that about having a homemade sewn sweatshirt with hoodie. And I did have that item, and I think I argued a little too much because the officer did offer me an opportunity for extra duty instead of writing me up, and I argued with the lieutenant, so they decided to write me up. And it was a rule violation. Even a lot of times they overlook, if items is on inventory, they may overlook, but at that time it happened to be a strict officer and I was wrong. And the 4th time was about 2 years ago. I was written up for forgetting to pick up laundry after laundry wash. Forgot to pick up my blue jeans and blue shirt. And I told the lieutenant that the laundry came back very late, and I had library duty that night. And when I went back to the dormitory, I forgot about it. Usually the laundry is sorted out kind of like 12 o'clock or before 3 o'clock, and people have enough time to pick it up. But that day it was sorted out late. It was still in bundle. And when I went back to the dorm, I totally forgot about it. And I told the lieutenant that I was sorry for that. And he still decided to write me up. And I told him that at court, for future reference, I would have to make myself a note, even if some small thing, but it was something I definitely can do to avoid violating the rules by not paying attention to some small details. And I did learn my lesson. There are so many things I have to pay attention to in prison.
How long did you stay at Angola?
I stayed for 3 years and 6 months.
Okay, I see. What do you do now in your spare time where you are now?
Spare time, I have unconventional fitness class 2 times a week in the gym, Tuesday and Saturday morning. And I organize each group of 8 people exercise, including calisthenics, stretching, yoga, and various other things. And besides that, if anyone, whether it's enrolled or not enrolled, or whether backlog or not, if anyone has some kind of minor ailment, I can help them in many different ways, primarily in pain relief and injury recovery, as well as long-term health benefits, such as people losing weight, people can skip certain medication, like high blood pressure medication without complication. These things altogether since 2020, over 70 people have noticed health improvement through unconventional fitness class. And like I mentioned before, I facilitate a German language class. I have some homemade flashcards over here. This program is also started from scratch. I had some German learning when I was in China, and after I came to Rayburn, I was kind of bored, so I learned German for my spare time, and also right now I'm ready to start the second class. The first class was October last year to January, and I have a lot of students willing to participate this, and these two are the programs I facilitate. I start from scratch. Pretty much that's what I do. And also, in addition to unconventional fitness class, I spend almost every day exercise to keep myself fit, healthy.
I may need to enroll in one of those classes.
How many people?
I say I may need to enroll in one of those classes.
It's 8 people per group. I have a
Okay, I'm just kidding. What do you plan to do when you leave, or if you're granted parole?
First of all, I have a detainer from Homeland Security Immigration. If I get parole, I'll be deported back to China. And I think I have the file number over here. So 1 second, real quick. The case number is A79-136-682. It was decided in 2007 that I will be deported back to China where I was from, and I would like to go back to China to be with my family. And my parents are both in their 70s. They're not in good health. And my maternal grandmother is still alive, and she's in her 90s, almost 100, and some other family member died during my incarceration, but I would like to be back to China to be with the surviving members of my family. And also, I want to find a job when I go back to get income, support myself. And I would like to use what I've learned to help other people. And also,
Go ahead.
I would like to further look into my cultural heritage. When I was in Angola, I was in Asian American Cultural Society. Our club president encouraged Asians to look into our own Asian culture, and I have done some of them, which were used for unconventional fitness class, like some of the medical skills, such as self-massage that can help myself and as well as help other people for pain relief, injury recovery, and some other purpose. I would like to study more of that, as well as many other cultural heritage stuff.
Thank you so much. I have no more questions.
I do. Mr. Liu, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to say thank you for the work that you do within your prison community. I think you've done a lot of good work there. I'd like to understand a little bit more about how you're a very intelligent man. How is it that you find yourself in prison? I mean, I know you're here, you pled guilty to manslaughter, but we'd like to know a little bit about what really happened at the University of Lafayette. You were in the dorm?
Yes, ma'am. It was in my dorm room when it happened. I had a relationship with the victim. We just kept it secret. Really, she had a boyfriend in China, but she decided to have a relationship, meet with me. We start in September or October 2003. And we had started to have sex in December 2003. And at first it was okay, but gradually, we had more problems and arguments. And finally, she decided to split up with me. And in April 2004, and we had more and more arguments because I was not realistic. And looking backward, I realized I shouldn't start a relationship because she wasn't serious in the beginning.
Well,
And-
so what I'm trying to figure out, you stabbed her, and is that why? What did she do to make that happen?
And on that day, she came see me and said, at first it was okay. Then later on, she said a lot of things that made me upset, and she wouldn't shut up.
Okay,
And that's how it ended up too.
and she ends up dead. So, you took a lot of classes, you rattled off a big long list there for Mr. Tillis. Have you ever taken any victim awareness class?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn in that class?
I remember I watched a video about victims and victim families view about crime, because crime hurt everybody, which is, in my case, it is also. I can relate two stories. One was a victim's dad. His son were killed in the shooting, and he said he wasn't angry, but in reality, his facial expression showed a lot of anger. He said he would like to be the killer all the way to 1 inch of death or something like that. And in my case, victim's mother wrote a letter through Dr. Wang, who's their liaison. He's a professor in UL Lafayette, and in the letter they say they would like to tear my chest open, pull my heart out, things like that. It showed a lot of anger. I was very sorry for what I've done. And another thing, victim awareness class I can relate to was also in that video, that it was a female either for domestic violence or rape. And she said she couldn't trust people. And I can relate to, there's a friend of mine, a Dr. Wang, a different Dr. Wang. He's also a Chinese that we used to eat in school cafeteria once a week, and I used to visit him, or he used to visit me, and we played tennis together. And after crime, and he didn't come visit me, but he did stay through a different friend. Say it was hard for him to trust anybody. That's the two things I pretty much can relate to. I know that.
So, Mr. Liu, if you were able to speak to Ting's parents, what would you say to them? And just summarize it, be brief.
I apologize for everything I have done. I have gone through various jobs, various classes, programs. I'm a different person now, and I would like to do everything I can to pay back to the society. And the crime happened, there's no way I can get her back to life. And I apologize for everything I've done. And I understand they are suffering. They lost their only daughter. And I'm truly sorry. I apologize for, and I feel bad for everything I've done.
All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Warden Bickham, could you add any, thing to it?
I think,
Anything in prison or anything?
he's pretty much covered all his bases. He does teach a German class. The unconventional fitness, we have had inmates who've, been taking off their blood pressure medicine stuff from all that. He facilitates our, those classes. He is our interpreter for Chinese if we have to have one. And since he's been in our library, it was the first one to become ACA certified. You know, outside of that, everything, y'all got everything else.
Thank you very much. Okay, looking today, we in support, we don't have anyone. We don't have any opposition in wanting to be here today. However, law enforcement from the pre-PI shows some strong law enforcement opposition. The judge in Lafayette is opposed. The district attorney in Lafayette is opposed. The sheriff in Lafayette is opposed. The chief of police in Lafayette is also opposed. Mr. Liu, you want to make any final statements before we take a vote?
I want to say again, I apologize for everything I have done. And I thank the parole board members taking time to for this hearing. I would like to go back to China if I am granted for parole, and I want to be a productive member in the society. You know, if I'm granted, that's all my statement.
Thank you. All right, the board is now ready to vote. Let's begin with Mr. Tillis, who was assigned the case. Would you please give us your decision?
My vote is to grant.
Right. Ms. Renata.
Mr. Liu, I have some reservation about your sincerity and your remorse for what you did. However, I am impressed with the work you've done while you've been in prison. You've really contributed to your prison community. I would grant to the ICE detainer based on your no other criminal history, and as I said, the work you've done there. So that's my to the detainer.
All right, Mr. Liu. My vote, I see it a little bit different. You had a break. This was a second-degree murder that you got to break down to manslaughter. So you had a big break there. This could have been a life sentence easily. And you've done 20 years off of 40. I believe there's still a little bit of time to do. So in my opinion, and my vote is going to be to deny. So with a vote of 2-1, you've been granted parole to an ICE detainer. This concludes our business.
Thank you, Warden Bickham. We appreciate you facilitating. I know you got a lot going on there today.
Oh, man, look, I was wishing and hoping I could stay up here longer.
Well, we can sit here a while.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Work on. Thank you.
All right.
You can tell what time.
You can sign off.
We're signing off with Rayburn now. This concludes our meeting with Rayburn at 9:31.
All right, you know what that means? Yeah, I'm going back to China. Yep. Okay.
You hear,
There you go.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me? All right, good. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is May 22nd, 24. Time is 9:41 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today, and my colleagues today are Ms. Cheryl Renatza, my left, and Mr. Chuck Tillis to my right. The panel today is at headquarters, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Headquarters staff, would you please introduce yourself?
Parole.
Today, our remote location is our Lee Parish Prison. Mr. Williams, would you please introduce yourself, state your full name, DOC number for the record?
Wrong person. Wrong person. Good morning, wrong person. I'm Joshua Carter.
Okay, we need.
Joshua, he is this.
So but this is,
Mr. Carter, your attorney is not able to be with us until a little later this morning, so we want you to step outside and ask him to bring in Mr. Williams, and when your attorney is ready, we're gonna call you back, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You're gonna
ma'am.
ask him, tell him to send in Mr. Williams.
Artis Williams?
Yes.
All right, yes, ma'am.
Artist Williams.
Hey, are you having, we looking for Mr. Williams? I'm sorry, you're on mute.
ATRESS WILLIAMS, he'll be down in 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
1 second.
Are you ATRESS Williams?
Yes. Oh.
All
Mr.
right.
Williams, could you ask the deputy to come unmute you?
Can you hear me? You can hear me?
All right, Mr. Williams. My name is Danny Barra, and I'm serving as the chair today. My colleague for today's panel are Ms. Cheryl Knotts on my left and Mr. Chucky Tillis on my right. Could you please state your name, full name and your DOC number for the record?
ATRESS Williams, 385-148.
Thank you very much. I see today you're going to be represented by Ms. Ellison, so we don't need to evaluate you for appointed counsel. I'm going to read the violations against you and ask you for a plea of guilty or not guilty on each one. And I just need you to tell me at this point, guilty or not guilty, and we'll discuss those later. So the first violation you have is on January 21st, 2024, were arrested by the New Orleans Police Department for aggravated burglary, simple criminal damage to property, battery on a dating partner, theft under 500, and a parole absconder warrant. Booked with criminal damage to property, battery on a dating partner, theft under 500, and absconding item B 059-21 and C 06410-22. These charges were refused on March 19, 24 in the magistrate court. How do you plead to that? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
All right. You failed, number 10, you failed to pay your supervision fees since being released and currently $4,662 in arrears on your fees. How do you plead to that?
Guilty.
All right. Tell me about your relationship. I'm going to ask the first question since the case is assigned to me. Tell me about your relationship with Monique, Georgia. Tell me a little bit about that relationship. Is it still going on?
Oh no, we haven't been together for some years now, and I was friends with her relative, and I heard that she had moved to another state, so I haven't seen her in some years, you know, and ever since we separated, we haven't been in contact with each other.
All right. You did have a relationship with her at one time, correct?
Oh, of course, yes, correct.
It turned out badly.
The relationship ended with us separating.
And she is the lady who filed the complaints on you for the charges that we talked about just now that you pled not guilty to, is that correct?
Well, I didn't have any knowledge of it, but she's supposed to be the individual that made a complaint against me. But only way I found out about the incident is when, you know, I was obtained by an NOPD officer.
All right. I know that there's two sides to every story. What's your side of that story for that case?
It was two people involved. All right. Monique was one of the individuals, and Chanel Barnes was another individual. Now, I left a relationship with one and went to the other, and they had a dispute concerning that situation. You know what I'm saying? By me leaving, you know, a relationship dealing with Monique and going to Chanel. And like I said, after we had like the separation, I didn't see her no more or anything, and I really didn't know any charges was, any complaint was filed or anything, because me and Chanel was involved with each other, and it's right in the same area of uptown New Orleans, like right around the corner, you know, from each other. You know, Monique lived on Paladine, and Chanel lived on 3rd Street, and that's like right around the corner from each other.
All right. What about they say that you took their cell phones away? What you got to say about the cell phone?
Only cell phone that I have was a cell phone that's registered to ATRESS Williams, and I've been having a cell phone, you know, for a good little while, you know, with AT&T, and that's it. I didn't bother their cell phones or anything.
Was you lending her any cell phones that you might have taken back or anything like that, or absolutely nothing with cell phones?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
All right, that's all the questions I have for you.
Mr. Williams, you're quite behind in your payments. What's the problem? You have a job or what?
Well, I had been working, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I got out 2020, June 2020, from Hunts. Now, this is what occurred. I went in front of the board. The board decided to let me go. They transported me back to the Beavers. Now, during my incarceration in the Beavers, all of a sudden, a riot breaks out in the Beavers to where I'm on the chair in a two-man cell, and all of a sudden, whoop, a lot of black smoke to where I couldn't even breathe is accumulating on the chair. So it kind of scared me because I was in the jail. I'm in the cell, I can't get out, and by me couldn't breathe, you know, it kind of spooked me because I'm thinking that I probably would have, you know, died in that kind of situation. So my cellie had told me to grab 2 towels and wet them and get on the floor, and maybe I could breathe better. So I got on the floor, you know, and it helped me out a good little bit. Now, that situation there, it shocked me so much, and it kind of scared me to where, I mean, I wrote an ARP, and I was letting them know that my life was in danger, and I was released from the board, and I'm held back here in the Beavers, and I don't know the status. So when they received the ARP, they immediately came back there. Once the situation was over with the smoke and everything, and they got all the mattresses, burned mattresses, and all the stuff that they had put out and was burning and stuff on the tier that caused all the accumulation with the smoke and everything. They told me that once they got back there, they asked me, "Are you ATRESS Williams?" I said, "Yes, I'm ATRESS Williams." They say, "Well, you pack your stuff and you going up front to the administration office and you're gonna sign out, and get immediately released." And I was kind of happy. So when I went up there and I signed all the papers, I was really glad to get back out in society. Which, when I got out in society, I knew that I had to find a place to where I could make money. So I was on a bus. I stopped at a temp service, and I went in and I filled out all the information, and I started working. I started working at the convention center, and I started working at the Superdome. So I'm living with a relative, and they already let me know from the get-go that I was gonna have to help out with the bill. And by me working with a temp service, and I have to help out with the light bill and with other utility bills, and me having food to eat, and me, getting bus passes, getting back and forth to work. I felt that it was a priority for me to make it
Okay,
to work and get back and forth. And I really tell you the truth, I didn't think about the consequences of the parole fees piling up on me, because I'm so focused on trying to be a better man and out there and just staying out there and keep my freedom and being able to,
Understand. Understand. Very good. Very good. I have no more questions.
I have one more. When was the last time you made a payment that you can remember on your parole fee?
It probably was 2017 or 2018, probably 2020.
All right. We'll give you a little free piece of advice. You need to make a payment monthly, whether it's your full payment or just a token payment, to show that your officer that you're trying. When you make 0 payments for years, you show the officer that you're not trying. So just a little piece of advice whenever you have to deal with that again. All right, all the questions are done. We got Ms. Mary Ellis Simmons, attorney here in support of you. We'll go to her now.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Mary Ellis Simmons. I represent Mr. ATRESS Williams. Mr. Williams has spoken well on his own behalf, so I have very little to add. What I would just note is that, and wanted to highlight for the board, is that working along with other team members, including a staff social worker at the Orleans Public Defender's Office, where I am a staff attorney, we have been working with Mr. Williams to help him brainstorm sort of where he would go if the board were inclined to release him back onto parole. Mr. Williams intends to reside in New Orleans with relatives. As he mentioned, this past relationship is in the past. And I would note that the Orleans Parish DA's office is in a really different position than it was several years ago, and it is much rarer for charges of this nature to be dropped. So I do hope that the board takes that into consideration. Mr. Williams, we intends to return to work at the Superdome and the Convention Center, where he was steadily employed before. He maintains connections there. And if that work were to fall through or he needed additional support, we're ready and prepared to refer him to CEO Works, which can offer comprehensive job training, as well as the formerly incarcerated transitions clinic here in New Orleans, which can help if he feels like he needs help getting new eyeglasses, et cetera, after spending these months in jail. Moreover, anything else in terms of getting his paperwork back in order and settled back to successfully parole, we are more than happy. We consider him a lifelong client and are happy to keep working with him as ever, however we can be helpful to him. Thank you.
All right, we don't have one here in opposition, so give you one more shot to explain, Mr. Williams, why you think that we should give you a chance today and state your parole and not behave like you have in the past. Charges are dropped, but something went down right there. I'm not quite sure what it.
Well, I feel that I am a responsible individual, and I would like to know, as far as like the payments that I had fell behind on, how could you could be further? Could you give me some advice or assist me? You know, as far as dealing with that situation right there, and I would try my best, as an individual, what I'm saying, to live accordingly and, follow the guidelines and do the best that I can as an individual, as a man, to, satisfy the parole and my parole officer.
Okay, well, to answer your question, what could you do about the arrearages? You can ask your officer to put you on a community service work plan where you can do community service work in place of having to pay all that, and you can continue to make token payments like I told you. Well, it's time for us to vote, but before we vote, I'd ask for executive session.
I'll make a motion for executive session to discuss confidential matters.
Danny Byron,
Yes.
Sherman Knight,
Yes.
Chuck Tip.
Yes.
Stand by, we'll be right back.
All right, Mr. Williams, we are ready to vote, and I'm the lead on your case. So I'll take the first vote. I'm going to vote to reinstate you back on supervision with the special condition that you complete anger management class. Also, that you follow up with anything that Ms. Simmons has proposed through your transition program. I'm also going to order that your parole fees be reduced by 50%. So that you can able to catch up, or you're gonna, instead of having to pay whatever it is now, $63, I forgot what the amount is. I'm gonna have the parole officer cut that in half. So future, you're gonna get a half, you're gonna be paying half, and it'll still give you time to catch up on your arrearage. Also, that you can be allowed to do community service work in lieu of some of that arrearage. So keep growing as fast as it was while you're trying to catch it up. We don't want to get you in a situation where you can't do it. You know, we're trying to give you something that you can work with, something that you can make some progress in. And also, we're gonna put a condition also on you that you have absolutely no contact with Monique, Georgia, or anybody that's involved in any of these cases that we were talking about that got dismissed. Anybody involved in those cases, leave them all alone.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Put all that?
Yes.
All right. Good luck to you. Shirley?
Mr. Williams, my vote is the same, not revoked, with all the special conditions that Mr. Byra explained to you. Good to you, sir.
I concur.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Okay, so you're back on, gonna be referred back to supervision with all those special conditions, adjourned now? No, sorry. All right, more people there. We can get them to send the next guy in. Thank you.
Can you tell him to send Mr. Johnson in, Jared Johnson, walk out, tell him to send Mr. Johnson.
I want to ask you a question. Now, would I get released today, or how do that process?
It's gonna take a little while for the paperwork to get done, but we're gonna get it done. I don't know, I can't guarantee you today.
All right, thank
You're
you.
getting out.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. And you said call
Jared Johnson.
Jerry
Jared
Johnson.
Johnson.
All right. She wants y'all to call Jerry Johnson, another individual. Yep. All right, all right. All right. Say, I'm on, 4. Jerry Johnson.
Hey, ma'am, officer.
Tell the officer to come back.
So ma'am, is everybody else there that's on the lineup also?
Good evening?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Is everybody else that's on the docket for today lined up?
There was that, no, they're not on that time. He was the only one.
So we have, our time is limited today. We've been waiting for over an hour and a half. And so this is Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after Mr. Johnson, we have 5 other cases. Do you have any of those lined up for us?
I can have them all lined up right now.
Yeah, well, we're limited on our time. We have to be finished. We have to conclude our business by 1 o'clock. That's an hour and a half. So it would be helpful if they were standing,
waiting for us,
so we don't have to wait an hour and a half between each case.
I'll just try.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The next guy we want is Lionel Johnson. Lionel Johnson. Okay. And you're Jared Johnson?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
The Committee of Parole is called to order. Today's date is May 22nd. The time is 11:30 a.m. My name's Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues are Mr. Tillis and Ms. Renatza. Remote location is in New Orleans Parish Prison. Mr. Johnson, would you please state your name, full name, and DOC number for the record?
Jared Johnson, 590175.
All right. I see that you have an attorney waiting to speak, so you would not be out for appointed counsel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you the violations against you and ask you to plead guilty or not guilty to each one. And then when we get through the whole list, we'll discuss them. So the first thing that we have as a violation is you were arrested by NOPD on 1/18/23 and charged with domestic abuse battery, which was refused on 3/8/23, filing a false public record, possession of tramadol, and possession of promethazine. On February 20th, 24, you pled guilty under Orleans docket number 557305, possession of promethazine, amended from possession of tramadol, and injuring public records. Was sentenced to serve 6 months in the Orleans Justice Center. How do you plead to that violation?
To all the domestics, and
You can break it up if you want the domestic.
not guilty.
Okay, and how about the possession of the tramadol and the public records?
Also not guilty because I had a prescription for
All right. So the case is assigned to Ms. Renatza. Oh wait, one more violation. 2. Number 4, a violation again. You're arrested for principal theft. Number D-204-2458-23 on April 3rd, 23. This case was refused on 4/14/23. How do you plead?
So it's a big old mistake right here, dude. So they had a guy with my name as Jared Johnson.
Just a second. How do you plead?
So he pleads not guilty.
Not guilty?
He pleads not guilty. Yes.
All right. Number 10, your supervision fees are $650 in arrears, and you have never made any payments towards your supervision fees. How do you plead to that?
Guilty.
He pleads not guilty.
Not guilty to supervision fee?
Yes, sir.
So we'll now start taking questions from the panel, starting with Ms. Renatas, since she's the lead person in the case.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Good morning.
Mr. Johnson, I've reviewed a lot of material in this case. Police reports, all the information provided by your attorney. We have lots of items from police officers. I want to know what happened. Let's see, January 18th of 2023. You've been in jail since then?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us what happened on that particular day. I mean, I understand about the domestic abuse battery. You say that was refused, but tell us what happened.
So on January 18th, we were standing in front of the apartments and they had like additional like 15 cars of police pulled up, and they put everybody in restraints and they searched the area, and then they ran our names and my name was the only one came back with a warrant for domestic. And they verified the warrant and the warrant came back good and they arrested me.
Okay, I don't think we're talking about the same incident. I'm talking about the incident where you ended up in the hospital.
Well, I ended up in the hospital.
Yes.
Also, me and my female friend, we was at the apartments. We was going through a verbal altercation, and one thing led to another. Like for us, like we was fussing like about another girl, and when the other girl we were fussing about pulled up, she was like, so you got her pulling up around here and all this and all that, and I'm like, I can't control that, you hear me? And then I had she had stabbed me in my chest, and I had went to the hospital.
Okay. Yes. So let me get this straight. In my record, the record indicates was your former girlfriend was Miss Anthony, and you were using her address for your parole residence. It was her address of record that you were residing at, and she didn't want you to use her address anymore because y'all were really no longer. Is that what the argument was over?
The argument, yeah, it started over that, yes.
And then you made up some story for police about how you were injured and ended up at the hospital, and that was had to do with the injuring of public records charge, which I think was originally obstruction of justice. So something happened that day. I'm just trying to get there. What is the so you pled guilty to possession of, it was an amended charge, possession of promethazine, I can't pronounce the name. The charge from tramadol was amended.
Yeah, it was amended. It was broke down to alleged drugs. I don't know what promethazine come from.
Yeah, alleged drug. Okay. Tell us a little bit about why you're in arrears. Let's see. It says you've never made any payments towards your supervision fees. How come?
Also, I never really had the money to pay.
Did you have a job?
later on down the line, but nah, no. Like right before I came to jail, I did.
Right before you came to jail, you had a job. You just hadn't been able to pay the fees yet.
Yes. They
So-
didn't have no building or nothing for me to go to the pay the thing. So he just came visit me like at my house on the phone or something like that. Like I ain't really have nothing to go to send the money off or nothing like.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to sit back because I'd like to hear the plan that your advocate and your attorney may have worked out for you. I'll just listen to what everybody else has to say. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right, Mr. Any question? No. Mr. Johnson, I have a question. It kind of goes back to one of her questions. When you did get stabbed, you told the police that you had been shot in a drive-by. And I just don't understand why. Why would you tell the police it was a drive-by when somebody had stabbed you and it was a different location than where you were? You kind of sent the police on a wild goose chase. I was just wondering what was going through your head. Why was that necessary?
I don't really recall me telling the police about nothing about getting shot. I don't really recall that.
You were using drugs that day?
No.
No? No drugs involved? You just don't remember?
I don't recall me telling the police that they came like while I was in the hospital, probably I don't know. I really don't. I don't recall me telling the police about no shooting and all that.
All right. That's going to be the question from us. In support of you today, we have your girlfriend, Kanisha Bannister. Can we hear from her?
So I'm Mr. Johnson's attorney. Do I have an opportunity to speak on his behalf?
Yeah, you're going to be the last one.
Okay.
Miss Bannister, is she available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, do you have something that you want to say? What do you want to tell the program?
Well, I'm Kanisha Bannister. I'm Jared Johnson's girlfriend. Jared is a very humble and outgoing person. He's loving and caring. Before all this occurred, he helped me out tremendously with my kids because I'm a school bus driver and I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be at work for 5. And he would get my kids ready for school and bring them to school and pick them up. Since Jared been in jail, it's been very hard and difficult trying to get them to school. I have no help. He stepped up in my kids' life as a stepfather who's always going out his way to support them and me. When he gets out, I'm going to make sure he stays on the right path. I help him more than before so we could finish what we left by aiming for a better for the kids.
It sounds like you're going to give him a place to live if he's released.
Yes.
And what's the address of that place?
1322 Elijah Fields Avenue, Apartment B, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70117.
And who lives there besides you?
My 2 kids.
What are their ages?
7 and 5.
Thank you. All right. We also have Miss Patricia Johnson, the mother's mother, who would like to. Is Miss Johnson available? There we go.
Yes, I am.
All right. Go ahead and tell us what you want to tell the program.
Okay. 1 second. Well, good morning to you all. I am Patricia Johnson. I'm Jared Johnson's mom. So I just wanted to let you guys know that my son is a very beautiful person inside and out. Jared is a well-mannered person. He's a God-fearing man. Also, his mom is here behind him 100%. Jared can and will be a productive young man of this society. I will make sure I will stay behind him to make sure he follow all the guidelines of not just his parole or his probation, but the guidelines of life as well. I know my son is able and willing to do what's right. he's been doing and trying to do what's right. And I'm just asking and begging on the mercy of you guys to give him a second chance at life, because we all deserve that. And I just wanted to let you guys know that Kanisha and I are behind him 100% to make sure he stays on the right track and do the right things that he's supposed to do in this thing we call life for his probation and his parole.
All right, thank you very much for your input. We also have in support Roxanne Barnes, an advocate, public defender's office. Ms. Barnes available?
I'm here. Good morning. I wanted to outline the relief plan that you all have in front of you that details the supports that Mr. Johnson is going to receive once he is hopefully released. I want to highlight that, like the two previous women who spoke, he has very strong family relationships that will aid his reentry. He has stable housing. His partner, Ms. Bannister, has a full-time job and an apartment that she has the ability to pay full rent for. So he's headed into a very strong, stable set of community relationships, which is incredibly helpful for him. As well, I have provided 2 different supportive community resources for him that he has already admitted into. The first one is the First 72. The First 72 is going to be able to provide him with one-to-one case management. This is going to be helpful to get him a job as soon as possible, to pay parole fees, and provide him with any kind of case management needs, like referrals to treatment providers if he should need those, counseling providers, and someone just to keep on his case to make sure that this reentry goes smoothly. I've also provided him with connection to CADA, Prevention and Recovery, which is a general counseling service that's in my building on Tulane Avenue. It provides counseling services for a range of resources, anything that he could need, from anger management, substance use. My hope is that it will provide him with some tools that he may not have had before, tools that will help avoid domestic situations in the future, tools that will help to ease this reentry process, and like his mother said, become a very productive member of the community. I'm also staying in this case, so I'll be able to manage all of this. Any further referrals that he possibly need, I will be able to help him with. And make sure that he transitions to a relationship with his parole officer that is strong, communicative, and complies with all obligations of the court or that could possibly levy on him. I want to highlight that both of these resources are incredibly supportive and have helped my clients in the past. They're also flexible. So if there's anything that the board would like to see Mr. Johnson avail himself of, I am available to help make sure that he does that. And both of these resources will have all of the community referrals needed for that as well. Just want to wrap up saying that he has got incredibly strong family relationships. They both showed up today. We have all been waiting with you to testify on his behalf. He provided needed child support for 2 very young children that have been surviving without him for 16 months, and he's very much wanted back home. So I'm available at the court's discretion, or at the board's discretion, to make sure that he complies with any obligations to make sure that the situation is able to resolve.
Thank you very much. We also have Ms. Deanna Yu, an attorney that would like to speak.
Yes, good morning. It is still morning for about 6 minutes. So I'm Mr. Johnson's attorney. I represented him on his criminal case in Section B. As you heard, Mr. Johnson is a 30-year-old loving stepfather to 2 children that are not his biological children, but are the children of his girlfriend, Kanisha Bannister. Even though he's not biologically related to them, they depend on him for his support. He was providing income to this family through his job that he got shortly before he was arrested. He was working at Tulane as a janitor, and the family has certainly suffered without that financial support since he's been in jail. He also providing much needed child care support as well. You heard Ms. Bannister testify that she is a school bus driver. She needs to get to work extremely early. And so she was depending upon him to drop the kids off, to take care of them after school, and any other time that she would be working. And so the family has definitely suffered since he's been incarcerated because of the lack of support that they are now dealing with. Mr. Johnson has been in jail for almost a year and a half. He has been in jail since January 18th of last year. Prior to being arrested, he had a good relationship with his previous parole officer, who was the one who supervised him. That was Nathan Gordon. Agent Gordon has since retired, and my understanding is that the new parole officer who will be supervising him is Agent Frederick. Prior to Agent Gordon's retirement, he had indicated that he didn't have issues with Mr. Johnson, that there weren't any previous technical violations, and that Mr. Johnson was compliant with parole. You heard that there have been issues in the past with Mr. Johnson maintaining a stable address for compliance with keeping up with his parole officer having an address for him. But you also heard now that he will be residing fully with Kanisha Bannister. He can use that address for his parole registration. She has been living there for several years. It is a stable address, and she lives there by herself with her children. As far as the charges for which he was arrested, the domestic battery was ultimately refused. This is a case not involving Ms. Bannister, but involving a previous girlfriend. As you noted and reviewed from the police reports, this actually arose because Mr. Johnson was hospitalized from a stab wound. He was not the one who called the police. The hospital staff called the police when he reported with presenting with a stab wound. When the detective arrived,
We lost. See if she comes back up. She's reconnecting now. There you are.
Hi, I apologize for that. I'm going to sign off on my phone. I've been having some issues with the Wi-Fi this morning. When Mr. Johnson was hospitalized, he was stabbed, and the police officer, the detective, arrived at the hospital, asked him what happened. He was not initially honest with the police. He did not want his ex-girlfriend to be arrested for stabbing him. She did then give a statement to the police after the police officer contacted her. I do want to note that she was given her Miranda rights before giving her statement, according to the warrant in that case. And I think it's important to consider the fact that she was aware that Mr. Johnson was stabbed, that he was hospitalized, and that she was warned that she was also the subject of this investigation potentially. However, immediately after Mr. Johnson was arrested on that warrant, the alleged victim in that case came to first appearances and told the district attorney that she wanted the charges dropped, that she did not wish to proceed, and took back the initial statement she provided to the police. That is the reason why those charges were ultimately refused. And there is no contact with that ex-girlfriend, Renisha. Mr. Johnson has no contact with her and no relationship with her at all. As far as the possession of tramadol charge, the reason why the state offered a misdemeanor plea in that case was that Mr. Johnson did have a valid tramadol prescription that was provided to the state. I did not include that in the packet provided to the parole board, but I'm happy to provide it if needed. The difference was that the tramadol prescription that he had was dated October of the previous year. The date of arrest was, I believe, February of the following year, so it was expired by a couple months. The district attorney then reduced it to a misdemeanor, given the fact that Mr. Johnson had a valid prescription within 6 months for 500 milligrams of tramadol, but it was not current at the time of his arrest. I do want to note that, as the board is well aware, people who have been validly prescribed with prescription medications to treat pain can develop a dependence, and that can cause them to continue using it after the immediate injury has healed. However, Mr. Johnson's time in jail has erased any of that dependence, and the release plan that includes outpatient treatment at CADA and assessment will ensure that Mr. Johnson maintains sobriety and is not using any prescription medication unnecessarily. The release plan, I believe, will ensure Mr. Johnson's success on parole. He will be staying at his girlfriend's house and maintaining a stable address there, which I believe she provided to the parole board. I understand there were some, I think,
volume issues. So if the board needs any sort of supplemental information in the form of an address, I can provide that. He also will be registering with CADA and doing an assessment for drug treatment, as well as any sort of anger management classes that they and the board deem necessary to Mr. Johnson's success. This will ensure that he stays out of any of the sort of conflict that led him to being arrested for domestic abuse battery in the first place. Obviously, being stabbed, having that argument with his girlfriend is not a situation that Mr. Johnson wants to be in at all. And that sort of domestic conflict is not the kind of thing that Mr. Johnson wants in his life going forward. And I believe that this plan will ensure that he stays out of those situations. As well as the first 72 plus will ensure that he has the resources available to seek stable employment. He has been incarcerated for quite some time, but their program is really fantastic and allows people to polish their resumes, to get connected to job resources. And so he will have a caseworker working with him as well for that. And as the board has seen, Mr. Johnson has ample support of his family and his community. In addition to his girlfriend and his mother who testified, he has siblings in New Orleans, all of whom can provide both emotional, social support, as well as, if needed, financial support to ensure that Mr. Johnson is not behind on his parole fees. So with that, I would ask the board to release Mr. Johnson back on parole.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to ask for a quick executive session to discuss confidential matter.
Cheryl Renata.
Yes.
Daniel Barra.
Yes.
Chucky Tillett.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna vote on your case. Mr. Not.
Mr. Johnson, yours case is you have all the information. In the episode, why that occurred and what told police. We have all the all the information provided to the police officers at the hospital about what happened. So we know what happened, even though you say you don't. They issued lying parole officer about your residence, using the wrong residence. And I take issue with you lying to the police officers about what really happened, because that sent them on a wild goose chase to try to find shell cases and all that kind of other stuff. It was really quite an ordeal. You have been in jail for 16 months. I think that Ms. Barnes has worked out a very viable transition plan for you. No, I was hung up with the possession of the legend drug. Your attorney has explained that to us, that you had although it expired, you had a prescription and you have not had it, I guess, for 16 months. So my vote today is going to be to do not revoke the extradition. You do follow the transition plan outlined by the Public Defender's Office to include CADA, substance abuse evaluation, and the anger management class, as well as the first 72. It's my vote.
Do not revoke also. And we're relying on the plan that you have.
All right, now I'm gonna vote. With Ms. Atcha. If you do not do any of the things you're saying you're gonna do today that are in that plan, next time I see you, my vote's gonna be 100% different. I'll vote to take this serious and take it as the last chance. You know, you want another chance with it, last chance. Follow the programs, straighten yourself out, we won't have a problem. If you choose not to follow those programs, next time we see you, it's gonna be who made the vote, not us. You voted, vote yourself. With me on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good luck to you. We're gonna finish Mr. Williams, Mr. Johnson hearing. On to Mr. Williams.
Thank you all. Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Williams, I said another.
Can you, hey, Mr. Johnson, when you walk out the door, can you ask him to bring in Lionel Johnson?
Lionel Johnson?
Lionel Johnson, yeah.
Please. Is it
All right.
there?
We're ready to begin. Resuming back at Orleans Parish Prison. Mr. Johnson, you please state your full name and your DOC number for the record.
LIONEL Johnson, 712004.
All right. Does have an attorney present to speak. We won't have to worry about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the violations against you from the probation officer and ask you to plead guilty or not guilty to each one, and then we're going to discuss those violations after. So the first thing you have is you were arrested by the New Orleans Police Department on February 21st, 2024 for simple arson, simple criminal damage to property, unauthorized use of a movable, and battery upon a dating partner. On March 14th, 2024, the charges were refused by the DA's office. How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty.
All right. The second violation is fail to make a single payment toward your supervision fees and currently owe $1,170. How do you plead to that one?
Guilty.
All right. Your case is referred to Ms. Nasa, and she'll start out with the question.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. And I'm going to hear from your case work shortly, but I have a couple questions before I want to hear Mr. Lars in your. What is your relationship now with Darrenisha Brooke?
That's my girlfriend.
Still?
Yes, ma'am.
And so what happened this day? You were arrested in February on the 21st. What happened that day? Why did all that activity occur? Can you explain it?
I was not on my medication.
I do see where you did have an admission. Your attorney sent us some information about you were admitted earlier in February and you were prescribed a treatment plan, so you weren't following that treatment plan,
Yes,
which means you weren't taking the medicine like you were supposed to.
Yes, ma'am. I was not taking the medicine like I was supposed to.
And so that's what made you enraged?
No, it wasn't really rage. It was just an argument going bad, and I never put my hands on her first and foremost. I never put my hands on her, none of that. It was just an argument going bad, but I take full responsibility of my actions. And I want to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But what we have is you put your arm around her neck and you set fire to part of the house and car up through her mother's. Punched holes in the wall. That's more than an argument gone bad. So I'm not asking for an explanation. Let me just hear, if you don't, I'd like to hear Mr. Lars. You have prepared some information for us. Would you tell us about it?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Brian Larson. I'm a staff social worker at the Orleans Public Defender's Office. For the board's record, we have completed a psychosocial history and assessment on Mr. Johnson, and some very important things were identified. And he mentioned not being compliant with taking his medication. Mr. Johnson have a history of bipolar disorder. It's a mood disorder, and it's not uncommon that many people have problems with taking the medication because of being stigmatized. So I identified throughout the assessment at this initial assessment that he was someone who needed some additional support. He's a good young man, and but it was identified that he could use some additional support. And that's why I detailed this plan and it was sent to you guys. And hopefully y'all got a copy of it. First and foremost, he was referred to CADA as well, and he's been accepted into CADA. And CADA is pretty much like an agency that we work in conjunction with. It's somewhat of a one-stop shop in a sense. You know, and he was referred to CADA so he can manage his medication, he could maintain a baseline level of functioning, and also to receive these anger management courses and classes like that. And also what CADA would do, they would screen for any underlying issues like substance use issues and things of that nature. He also will be referred to First 72. He has been referred to First 72. We work closely with First 72 and where he can participate in peer support groups and learn coping skills. And that's what it all boils down to. And I work with so many cases like this with these young men. And we always play the tape back. And I ask them, I say, what do you think that you could have done differently? You know, it's like the miracle question. I always ask him that. And he knows that he played a part in putting himself in the position that he's in now. And it's about learning these coping skills. And we explore some of these things. He know that he could have done some things differently. You know, he could have removed himself. And I'm sure that he'd be able to talk about some of those things in his closing statement. But at any rate, I work with so many cases like this, and I've seen so much success with the clients that we've been working with. I'm going to be actively case managing his case. You know, CADA is located right here in the same building that our office is located in. And he'll have daily access to me to navigate or work through difficult situations. And it's how, we feel like he deserves another shot. We would appreciate if the board would grant that request.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. What I know, record is I see the report. It seems as though he was seen by I think prior to when he was detained. There was an evaluation done prior to this incident.
Yeah, I think he was hospitalized prior to this incident. I'm not sure the exact dates.
So I do. So that plan, and I see that the plan, there was a good treatment plan laid out for him at that time.
This is from a hospital that he was a patient at, and I think this was on 4/17/24. The plan that I created is a present plan, and like I said, I'll be actively case managing his case. And I've had several times to meet with Mr. Johnson since he's been incarcerated. We've built a great therapeutic relationship, and we've talked about so many different things. And I feel like he's motivated, and I think that he's committed to the plan that I've presented to the board.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How soon if a person violates your plan or doesn't follow your plan, do you notify the parole officer that there's a problem? What's your policy on that?
Yeah, usually that doesn't happen, but if any kind of red flags come up, the parole officer, I have a great relationship with all the POs, and I'm normally contacted immediately. And before they actually pull a trigger on anything, they give me the opportunity to like rectify anything that could potentially happen. So our clients are and look, all the work that I do will be complemented by other social workers and client advocates on our client services division. We have a great client service division. The division is assigned just to address all problems that our clients have. That's all we do all day. We seek solutions all day. and we have, I mean, I have some great colleagues and they're committed to doing this work.
Right, but my question was, do y'all ever report the violations of the program to the parole officer? You said when they call you, you work with them, but if they don't call you, in other words, what I'm trying to find out is, if we recommend this program and he gets in it and he doesn't follow it, will you ever turn him in for not following it? Or is there a time period that you keep working before you turn him in? I mean, eventually it's got enough is enough with y'all too, huh?
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to
it
find
is
out.
a time frame, but you know, usually the thing is when someone is not complying with the plan, you know, I'm normally notified, and I normally take the measures to reach out and contact the client and express support, the importance of following the plan. You know, but you know, like I said, you know, I haven't experienced that, you know, since working with any of my clients that that are in similar situations as Mr. Johnson. You know, they usually they follow the plan at CADA in First 72 because they got all kind of things that these young men can engage in at First 72. You know, they do all kind of job fairs. They have like, you know, they learn positive fun coping skills. It's, you know what I'm saying? They got all kind of things to help the clients engage. And also here at First 72, I mean at CADA, which is located right here in our building. You know, I normally drop in CADA, you know, and check on my guys all the time. You know, I know the case manager, Melissa Gabriel, who wrote this, who signed the referral. You should have a copy of that from CADA. You know, she's a very close friend or colleague that I work closely with. And she normally notify me about any kind of infractions that are going on. And like I said, I normally drop in, you know, just to see how my guys are doing because it's on the 9th floor. I'm on the 6th floor. So I'm always in the building. I'm always close to my guys. The work that I do is really personal to me, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I want to see these young men succeed. You know, I just know that they need some additional support, you know, things that they just haven't learned. You know, some of these things these young men haven't learned, and you know, and we started the process of helping them to build those healthy coping skills to deal with these situations in a more healthier manner.
Right. Thank you.
So, one more question, Mr. Law, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
It's CADA related. It seems as though the plan is pretty intense if he follows it.
It is
in terms-
intense. It is intense. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so, what will be his means of support otherwise? Because it, you know, it looks like, okay, he's going to have to attend meetings several times a week, really in the middle of the day. How's it?
It is intense. I think initially because of the mental health issues, because you know that's something that needs to he needs to comply with taking his medication. We talked about that so much because I believe if he was taking his medication, I think he would have dealt with the situation a lot better. He would have removed himself from the you know, from the situation. So I think initially, you know, it will be a lot of meetings and a lot of groups, but you know, at First 72, you know, they have you know, job fairs, and they also you know, do job placement for clients. So I think at some point, you know, he'll be able to, and he was working at Papa John's, but I don't think that he should you know, immediately go back to work. I think that he should start with working on a plan, and then we'll find him some we'll secure some housing for him, because I do that too. I got you know, contact at Rouse's. You know, I can get him employed, you know, today if I made the phone call. You know, so he's on my radar. You know, I'll be working, you know, closely with Lionel. You know, I've taken special interest with all my guys, but you know, him in particular, you know, over the past months, we've built a good relationship, and I want to see him succeed.
I have another question for Mr. Johnson. Lionel.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've heard all the conversation that we've had. What do you think about the plan that's been laid out for you? Oh, you're on mute? Trying to unmute.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. I like the plan that Mr. Lars put together for me, and I'm gonna follow the plan.
And what about taking your medicine like you're supposed to?
I've been taking my medicine like I'm supposed to every day. I'm not gonna go without taking my medicine because I don't want to be in a place like this again.
And so if you feel yourself getting feeling depressed, whatever, who are you gonna reach out?
I'm gonna call Mr. Brian Lars.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tillis,
Last guy,
Lars.
Lars.
Mr. Lord.
Yes, Mr. Tillis?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
you said that Peter is going to be responsible for getting in his medication, making sure that he takes it.
Yeah, Kata will be doing medication management, so Lionel can maintain a baseline level of functioning. And also, I'll be closely monitoring his situation as well. Like I said, Kata is located on the 9th floor, and I'm gonna be working closely with him.
Yeah, I understand they have a program and they're saying something, but someone needs to be sure that he takes his medication daily is what I'm.
Yeah, and that would be Kata. Yeah,
They will.
they have mental health services that they provide at Kata,
Okay.
along with anger management courses and substance use, outpatient substance use treatment.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. We have Ms. Emmett Galati. Any who would like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Just have some brief remarks. It's Emmett Glady, thank you. I have some brief remarks to the Parole Board. I just would like to say that I've been in regular contact with Mr. Johnson since his arrest on February 21st, 2024. And in regards to the alleged events, Mr. Johnson didn't have the opportunity to go to trial and challenge these charges to obtain a not guilty verdict. But the state did refuse these charges on March 13th, indicating evidentiary issues with the case. And after spending 3 months in jail, Mr. Johnson has had a lot of time to reflect on how he could have better handled his relationship, better handled putting himself in any type of situation and preventing a situation where the police would ever need to be involved. Mr. Johnson has thought about the importance of taking care of his mental health needs and of taking his medication. And, it's a good chance that this wouldn't have happened if he'd been following his medication. And that's something that's, we're going to address through that plan that Mr. Lars discussed. And, by going in the CATER program, he'll have the opportunity to participate in anger management, in drug treatment, can receive treatment in regards to his mental health needs. Beyond the CATER program, our office is going to work with Mr. Johnson with services to make sure that he's in a position to succeed on parole and thrive. In terms of employment services as well. We are aware that Mr. Johnson is also behind on his parole fees. That's something that he wants to remedy as well. And he's going to work with our office to find employment as well. And so given that release plan, and we would ask the board to release Mr. Johnson back on active parole and to give him a chance, another chance to not only successfully complete his parole, but to address a lot of these issues and actively contribute to his community.
Thank you very much. I think it's time for the board to take a vote. Mr. Knotts, it's your case.
Yes. And Mr. Johnson? I was uncertain after reviewing the record last night. This morning, I was concerned about you. That Mr. Galati and Mr. Larson has provided. Do take note that Charges were refused. Charges were refused. I do see in the medical reports provided that you were in treatment, had sought treatment, mental health treatment prior to this. I saw most of the medications that were prescribed, I suppose. My vote today is going to be to do not vote. Add a special condition that you do follow the transition plan set forth by the Public Defender's Office to include CADA. And that's going to have to comply with your mental health information.
Yes, ma'am.
Your management, they realize that, can provide that for you. Then take advantage of the first 72 services also.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good. I concur, Mr. Natsa.
Yes, sir.
And I would vote to deny, but you are going to be released based on the votes. So today you're going to be released with the special condition. Follow closely because they're important. So end our meeting here with Arlene at Arlene's. The time is 12:43. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just wanted to let the board know that August Navarre's attorney is ready to go if the board has time to squeeze that in today.
All right.
Yes. Mr. Navarre, can you knock on the door and ask that officer to come back in the room?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hey, ma'am, thank you for coming back in. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to continue the rest of the hearings because we have to sign off. We're gonna, unfortunately, we're gonna have to reschedule the rest of our cases for today to another time.
He have to go back?
Yes, yes, we're done. Thank you. I appreciate you helping us out today. I'm sorry, Mr. Navarre, we're gonna get to you as soon as we can.
Okay.